Hello, Degrassi fans, and welcome to the bonus episode of the Degrassi Kid podcast. You guys might be thinking, Jocelyn, this is weird. You don't usually give us a video with your podcast, but I thought, you know what? It's a whole new month. It's a whole new year. Let's try something different. So I was racking my brain about what to do, and I thought, you know what? I've been wanting for so long to just sit down and watch an episode of Degrassi with real Degrassi fans, real hardcore fans like you guys who might actually enjoy me actually talking throughout the entire episode. So I thought, you know what? We've had guests from Degrassi Junior High on this month. We're doing this mail-out package with these Joey and Spike magnets. Why don't we break down the first episode of Degrassi Junior High and talk about some facts about the show? So we're going to watch Season 1, Episode 1, the episode called Kiss Me, Steph, which is about Stephanie Kaye running for Student Council President. So let me know what you think about this episode. Drop a comment. But for now, let's sit down together and watch the opening scene of Degrassi Junior High.
Stephanie, wait up! Go away, Arthur. I don't know you. Of course you know me. I'm your brother. Look, Arthur, there's stuff you gotta understand. Here at school, you never ever talk to me, okay? What? And you don't tell anyone I'm your sister. They're gonna get kind of suspicious. Not a lot of Kobolowskis around. Kaye. My name is Kaye. Kaye. You live with Dad, I live with Mom. If Mom can change her name, so can I. We're still related. Look, it's not you. It's the system. I'm in grade 8, so I'm important. You're in grade 7, so you're like totally embarrassing.
So here's the iconic opening credits for Degrassi Junior High, and these were actually made by Robert Mistician. Now, if that name sounds familiar, it's because Robert is Stacey Mistician's dad. Stacey played Caitlin Ryan on Degrassi, and she started way back in the kids of Degrassi Street and ended up staying on the show until season 7 of The Next Generation. And here we are way back in the day, her dad's making the opening credits for Degrassi Junior High and Degrassi High. And it's just so iconic. So the next time you watch Degrassi, you can tell your friends, hey, Caitlin's dad made that. Now, one of the best parts about watching the original Degrassi is watching the background for your favorite characters. You'll notice there's Spike, she's walking around, and she doesn't go on to become a main character for quite a long time. And that's because she was never hired as a main character. She was just hired to be in the background, but they loved her style so much that they ended up giving her her main storyline, which was her pregnancy with Emma. And that happened a lot because if you notice in the background, you'll see there's Liz. She's standing in the corner. And this moment is really important because Liz does go on to become a main character in the series. But if you remember, her introduction is in season 2, and it's that she's transferred to Degrassi for the very first time. So if you pay attention and watch the background, you'll actually notice she's actually been at Degrassi this entire time.
Thanks.
Cafeteria hours.
Can you believe we're in grade 8?
I know. It's like being grown up almost.
This is gonna be a really big year. I can feel it.
Is your brother here this year?
Don't talk about it. He's always asking so many dumb questions. I've ordered him not to talk to me.
It's a good thing you've got different last names.
Now, this is one of the most iconic moments from the show, Stephanie going into the girls' locker room and changing. And if you read The Mother of All Degrassi, you'll know that Stephanie Kaye was actually inspired by one of Linda's real-life students. Linda was a grade 8 teacher before she went on to co-create Degrassi. And in her memoir, she tells us how she used to create films with her students. And she particularly noticed that one of her students, named Fofo, she would always keep her jacket on when they filmed. And Linda said it kind of confused her because Fofo loved being on camera and making these movies. And that's when she realized it's because Fofo didn't want her parents to see the outfits that she was wearing to school. And she did the exact same thing that Stephanie does here. Fofo would go into the bathroom every morning and change her outfit. And then at the end of the day, she'd go back in and take it all off before going home. So when it came time to make the character of Stephanie Kaye, Linda thought about the story and her student and put it in the show. What's also kind of crazy about Stephanie is that her character was meant to go in a completely different direction. She was pretty much seen as the main character of the series at this point, and she was going to be given a lot more main storylines. For example, she was originally meant to get Spike's pregnancy storyline. You know that moment a few episodes from now where Wheels goes to the drugstore and he buys condoms from her mom? Well, originally, it was meant to be Joey going to the drugstore and going on a date with Stephanie. And in that episode, they'd actually have sex with each other, and she'd end up getting pregnant. And it would have changed the entire trajectory of the show. Can you imagine Emma's parents being Joey and Stephanie? If you want to know the complete breakdown on why Spike got the story instead, then I highly recommend you read The Mother of All Degrassi by Linda Schuyler.
How's it going? How's your summer? Great. We make lots of friends. People are
Joey,
how's it going, man?
All
right, how you been? Great.
This is Bernie.
Hey, how's it going? See you later. Yeah.
Please bring your
There's
mom.
people here, it's so cool. Hank, my man. Meet Artie. I'm showing him the ropes. How's it going, Artie? Yeah.
Arthur, it's Arthur.
Your class, Mr. Kowalski.
We'll see maybe later, okay?
See you around.
Thanks, Joey. Okay. Hey guys, this is definitely not my class.
What? Oh, Broomhead.
I specifically wanted to play that moment because I wanted to talk about the term broomhead. There's a lot of words the Degrassi kids will throw around that don't really mean anything, and broomhead is definitely one of them. You'll notice they have fake bands too. They have like Gourmet Scum, the Savages, they have fake celebrities like Damon King. And that's because Degrassi didn't want to date themselves, which is funny to look at now because it's very clearly made in the 80s. But they wanted Degrassi to be a story that could be told in any time and any place around the world. And not having them tied down to pop culture references made that really easy for them. So what's funny about this term specifically, broomhead, is they were trying to come up with funny names and they decided to look through the phone book. So there's someone out there who doesn't know it, but they've inspired the term broomhead on Degrassi. And there's another term you'll hear a lot, which is narbo. The kids use it as an insult on the show, but it actually was used by the producers in real life. It meant no acting required by others. That's the term they would use for anyone who had to fill the background of a scene. So, for example, we saw Spike just kind of walking around in the background. She would have been referred to as a narbo that day.
Report to Doris Bell, principal's office, ground floor by the main.
Now, there's actually quite a few fun facts that I want to tell you here. Yik Yu is played by Celiac Sassanassi, and he actually comes back for Degrassi The Next Generation in 2001. He specifically comes back to work behind the scenes as an assistant director, and several other people from the show have done this as well. Steph Brogren, who played Snake, notoriously comes back until the very end of the series in 2017 with Degrassi Next Class. And Anaya Skrzynowski, who played Lucy, she comes back to direct an episode in season 2, which is all about Hazel getting connected with her background. Now, this scene is super interesting because if you listen to it, Miss Avery is doing roll call, and she calls out Stacey Farrell. And that's interesting to catch because the Farrell sisters go on to become Heather and Erica. Neither of them are named Stacey. But this scene, there's really a lot of things if you pay attention, right? We're in Miss Avery's grade 7 classroom, but the twins are there, and you're going to see Lucy's in the back. There's some grade 8s that are kind of filling up the scene. So it'd be interesting to know why those changes happened. And I don't know the answer, to be quite honest with you. But even if you think about it, if Lucy stayed in grade 7, for example, would she have gotten so close with Joey and Snake in the Zit Remedy? Would she have gotten into that car with Wheels in the Degrassi Schools Out movie? And would she have ended up the series blind and paralyzed? Like, who knows, just from this simple change of taking her from grade 7 to grade 8. So it's interesting to look in the background and kind of think about these things. One other thing I wanted to mention is that if you go to YouTube and you try to watch Kiss Me Steph, the first episode of Degrassi, you'll notice that there's two options. The official Degrassi channel has a 23-minute episode, and the PBS channel has a 27-minute episode. So I wanted to go through and tell you why these two episodes are different. Degrassi was actually originally created as an educational program for kids. You know, they talk about a lot of important topics on the show like AIDS and pregnancy and relationship, and that's because it was meant to be an educational program for health curriculum. And that's why so many of us first watched Degrassi episodes in health class in junior high school. But in America, you can't run commercial advertisements on kids programming. So they had to make the American episodes 5 minutes longer to fill all those commercials that were running in Canada. So this didn't mean that they would just have an extra 5-minute scene that we've never watched before. Most scenes on TV shows and most scenes in Degrassi are only 90 seconds each. So instead, what they did is these little moments in the show where like Vula's putting up posters or Stephanie's doing her makeup were just made to be a little bit longer each time. And all those extra moments would add up to make that 5-minute difference. Now, there are some moments that do only exist in the American version, and actually at the end of this commentary video, I'll put those scenes in so you can watch them if you grew up in Canada. And of course, I was curious, how did they do this? How did they decide what was going to stay, what was going to go in the American broadcast, what's not making it in the Canadian one? And Kit Hood, one of the co-creators of Degrassi, he actually explained it. He said that when they started making Degrassi episodes, what they would do is they would write their scripts for the full half-hour episode. They would basically set out to make the American version, and then when they got to the cutting room, that's what they would decide to trim it down into the Canadian length of 23 minutes. And he said that there was times that he would film scenes and moments on the show that he knew were never going to be seen in Canada. So I really suggested if you ever go through and do a Degrassi Junior High rewatch, watch the PBS episodes and see if you notice what's different in America. You might see some things that you've never seen before.
Make no mistake.
Now, this moment is iconic. This is Stephen Brogren's real first moment on the show, and he goes on to stay on Degrassi for another 30 years. Isn't that crazy? And Stephen Brogren actually had the option to choose his own nickname. He could become Snake, or he could become Slim. Basically, the only requirement was that he had to have a nickname that meant he was lanky and tall, because there's a few storylines that reference his height in them. But thank God he picked Snake, right? If you had to choose, would you rather be known as Snake or Slim? Because I'd rather be known as Snake, but either way, there is no way he knew that he was picking that nickname for the rest of his life. Actually, when I met Stephen Brogren at Linda Schuyler's house, he, instead of writing Stephen on his name tag, he wrote Snake, and he was like, this is how everybody knows me. Let's be honest.
Hey, don't forget about me. Hey, calm down. What are the times? All right.
Grade 6 was never like this.
I also wanted to point out this girl right here with the red beret on. Her name is Annie. Hi, Annie. But funny enough, she was actually meant to be way more of a prominent character in the series. You know that episode that I mentioned where there's a rumor that Miss Avery might be a lesbian and Caitlin's having funny dreams? Well, that episode was actually meant to go to this character. She was meant to have those dreams and question her sexuality. And I'm just saying, if there was a character on Degrassi named Annie who thought she might be a lesbian, oh my God, that would absolutely make my day. I wish that we got that moment.
Avoid Sector 2C.
Repeat, avoid Sector 2C.
Now, there's actually something really cool happening here. Remember I said that the American episodes were longer and they just ended up cutting these kind of tiny moments? Well, this scene specifically actually starts with Arthur and Yick sitting on the stairs together and kind of mapping out how they're going to track Joey around the school. And they give him a code name. They say that Joey's code name is Gorgo. I don't know why they pick Gorgo, but they pick Gorgo. And throughout the scenes, when they're talking on the radio, they actually say, I've spotted Gorgo. Where is Gorgo? But in the Canadian version, because they cut this whole scene, they can't use this code name because we would be like, what? Why the fuck are they calling him Gorgo? This makes no sense. So they actually had to have the actor who plays Arthur go in and do additional dialogue where he instead says, I found Joey, I see Joey, instead of I found Gorgo. Luckily for the directors of the show, it's basically impossible to notice because Arthur has the mic over his mouth the entire time. So they didn't really have to refilm it, but they could just place the dialogue over this moment. But you know what? I've done a lot of talking for now, and I want to watch this episode with you guys. So let's sit back and just take in a few more scenes of Degrassi Junior High.
If elected, I promise rock on the PA. More dances. Co-ed swimming in gym.
The girls in bikinis.
All right, yeah. I want to see Steph in a bikini.
Without a bikini. Take it off, Steph. Take it all off. Vote for Stephanie Kaye, and who's to say what'll happen?
Talk about pre-feminist.
We want to kiss.
Let's go, Steph.
We want to kiss.
today, I'd like to especially thank one person who's been there from the beginning, done so much, and been such a wonderful friend. I'd like to thank Joey Jeremiah.
Of course, with 3 students here involved in the election, at least 3 of you will know something about the democratic system, I hope. This assignment, of course, is due on Thursday morning at 9:10.
Attention, everyone. I've got the election results.
Now, that voice you're hearing on the PA system is by a man named John Bartram. He's a writer and director on Degrassi, and he started way back on the Kids of Degrassi Street. But what's really fun is they decided to do this running gag with him where you never actually see him. You only ever hear his voice. And there's kind of a reasoning for that, because when you're a teenager and you go to school, your teachers really aren't human beings. They don't have real lives. They're just kind of these people that live in the school, right? At least in your perception as a teenager. And when it comes to your principal, oh, he is mostly just an ominous presence in the building that you hardly ever see. So they decided they wanted to make this show from the teen perspective and make Principal Lawrence just kind of this voice that you hear, which is so funny because this gag started in 1987 in Degrassi Junior High. And in 2001, it comes back with the character Heather Sinclair. She's also just this kind of like scary mean girl that we never really see. So there's a lot of history in Heather Sinclair because she actually gets her name from someone who worked on Degrassi. Nancy Sinclair was a very prominent figure in the production company of Degrassi. She's with them from basically the beginning, and you've actually seen her on the show before. She played Wheel's mom. That's Nancy Sinclair. So that real-life actress inspired the name for Heather Sinclair, which inspires Holly J. Sinclair. Isn't that crazy?
Doris? Doris Bell, the school secretary.
Oh, yeah, right.
And really quickly, right here too, we meet Degrassi school treasurer Susie Rivera. And for fans who are watching the show as it was being broadcast, this would actually be a very exciting moment because Sarah, the actress who plays Susie, she actually started on the Kids of Degrassi Street back in 1983. She was one of the first characters on it. So if you were a Degrassi fan at the time, this would be like seeing a cool little cameo, right? This would be like seeing one of your favorite characters come back. Like imagine how we all felt when we saw like Craig come back or we saw Liberty come back. We're like, oh, this is cool. But you know what? We're getting so close to the end of the episode. Let's listen in and see how the final moments wrap up in the first episode of Degrassi Junior High.
Yeah, see you tomorrow.
Yeah, call you later.
Hi. Come on, let me go. This is important.
All those interested in pilot training, next year's air Squadron Leader Dan Howard.
Come on, guys. Let me go. This is funny.
What are you doing?
Get me out of here. This is not amazing. Nothing funny about putting people in lockers.
You're putting him in a locker?
Come on,
Ignore
guys.
him.
Let me out.
He's just a broomhead.
Funny.
You had it now, you little weasel.
Oh, for heaven's sake, leave Arthur alone.
You know this GURP?
Well, sort of. Maybe. No, just leave him alone, okay?
Have you seen Vula? I have to write a speech for the PTA.
Joey Jeremiah, speechwriter. At your service.
The annual Degrassi Junior High cross-country run takes place next Saturday. Please sign up, Mrs. Rodriguez.
What? You?
Sure. I know lots about talking. You gotta start with a joke. Start with something funny like, hello, ladies and germs. Then, end with another one. It doesn't matter what you say in between.
Great. Thanks.
Hey, where you going, Steph?
I have to write a speech for the PTA.
Wait! You used me. I thought you'd be grateful. I helped make the posters. I wrote your speech. I am grateful. Sure. And that's why you thanked Joey.
Oh, that. Sorry, but, you know.
No, I don't.
Come on, Vula, we're in grade 8 now. Boys like that sort of thing.
So do girls. So do best friends. But that's okay, because I don't want to be your friend anymore. You can have your stupid bracelet. You're just a baby, a selfish baby.
Vula, wait!
You're on your own, Miss President. You and your new image.
Still gonna be the best president this school ever had. And I'll make a great speech to the PTA. Even if I do have to write it myself. I just wish there was someone to help me.
Now, we got here so quickly, this has flown by, but we're at the end of the episode, and this ending is very similar to the ending we're going to see at the end of season 1, where Stephanie kind of regrets who she became over grade 8. She wants to be a better student, she wants to be a better friend, she wants to be a better sister, and we go from all the way with Stephanie Kaye to out of the way with Stephanie Kaye, and this ending kind of foreshadows where we'll end up at the end of the season and how she's feeling on the inside. But for now, she's standing there with Arthur, and our last fun fact is that Arthur makes a reference to his grade 6 class. He says he was valedictorian in Miss Gonzalez's class last year. And Miss Gonzalez was actually the 6th grade teacher at Degrassi Elementary School in the kids of Degrassi Street. So this is a really cool nod to the original fan of Degrassi. And what's so cool about Miss Gonzalez, just to take this even deeper, is you guys are all actually very familiar with Miss Gonzalez, even if you've never seen an episode of the kids of Degrassi Street, because the actress who plays Miss Gonzalez is actually the same person who sings the Degrassi theme song.
I'm good at speeches. I was class valedictorian last year, remember? Mrs. Gonzalez said my speech was perceptive and witty.
Her and her husband, Louis Manny, were musicians at the time, and they were very close friends with Linda, and they made all the music for the original classic series. So they even made the song Everybody Wants Something. That was them. So this cool little throwaway reference that you may have never noticed before actually has this really cool history behind it. And of course, here we are. We're at the final moment of the episode with the classic freeze frame, and we're going to see all these names scroll by. One thing that always stands out to me is that we'll see Stephen Stone's name, because for the longest time, I thought he only joined the production during Degrassi: The Next Generation, but he's actually been here the whole time, which is crazy. But if you want to become a Degrassi encyclopedia like I am, this is what I suggest you do. Pay attention to the background and what's going on. Look at those names that scroll by at the end and see if any of them start to make a pattern. And then you'll really start learning all this Degrassi stuff. Now, I hope you guys like this bonus episode. And before we sign off, please let me know in the comments what you thought about it. I would love to do this with the Degrassi: The Next Generation, for example. But for now, I'm going to play you 3 scenes that were not in this Canadian episode and that only appeared in the American version. I'm going to show you Miss Avery introducing herself to the class, Caitlin Ryan reacting to Stephanie's campaign promises, and Yikyu being stuffed in a closet by Joey Jeremiah, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks, guys.
Do you know where it is?
No, but it's gotta be somewhere. Maybe we can look for it together. Come on. 2 heads are better than 1. Unless you've only got 1 hat.
Yick-you.
What?
That's my name, Yick-you.
Oh. Don't tell Joey.
Who's Joey?
You don't want to know.
I met Joey.
My name's Ms. Avery. A-V-E-R-Y. Ms. M-S. Ms. Avery. I'm your homeroom teacher this year. So if you have any problems or questions, I'm the one to talk to. We want to get.